Welcome to Creepshow, where we dive into the darkest corners of history and uncover the most thrilling tales of crime and mystery. Today, we explore the world of high-stakes heists, where cunning criminals have orchestrated some of the largest robberies ever recorded. Buckle up, because these stories will leave you on the edge of your seat. From audacious jewel thieves to mastermind art burglars, here are the 10 largest robberies in history. Let's begin. The majority of males have undoubtedly entertained at least one or two fantasies about committing a once-in-a-lifetime kind of theft that is worth millions of dollars. We are fortunate in that the majority of us are rational enough to prevent it from becoming more than a thought. There are a few men listed below who were not. One and only one requirement for inclusion on this list is that they must have been able to get away with it, at least for a short period of time. Anyone who is caught in the act is not eligible to be included on this list. If it is something that is worth a significant amount of money, whether it be cash, jewelry, artwork, or anything else, you can know that someone, somewhere, is intending to steal it. All of the values are expressed in United States dollars or British pounds, both of which, it is important to note, are worth more than dollars. In order to demonstrate how some of the older robberies relate to some of the more recent monster hauls, I have made some approximate adjustments for inflation to some of the older robberies. To my knowledge, none of the robberies resulted in the death of any individual, which is a testament to the fact that the perpetrators were true pros. In the comments section, you are welcome to add any other ones that I might have overlooked. This list was first submitted as a top 20, but due to the size of the contents, it has been divided up into several parts. The second part of this list will be published at a later time. Number 10. Harry Winston, the 5th of December 2008, Paris, France, $108 million. A few minutes before the store's scheduled closing hour, 4 armed men entered the upscale jewelry store known as Jeweler to the Stars. 3 of the guys were dressed in wigs and clothing that was intended for ladies. They ordered the personnel to loot the storage area once they had finished cleaning out the display cases. This was because the display cases had millions of dollars worth of diamonds, which was not enough for these individuals. Without firing a single shot, they completely wiped out the place. After the news of the robbery spread, the shares of Harry Winston dropped by 9% the next day. In the previous year, the shop had been stolen, and the robbers made off with gems worth a total of 10 million euros. It would seem reasonable to assume that it would be more cost-effective to hire some armed guards rather than risk having your property robbed on an annual basis. The crime has since resulted in the arrest of 25 individuals, ranging in age from 22 to 67. The fact that there is no age discrimination among thieves is really encouraging. Number 9. Antwerp Diamond Center. The 16th of February 2003, Belgium, $100 million plus. 80% of the world's uncut diamonds pass through Antwerp, and the thieves are well aware of this fact. Although the city has been the target of a number of thefts in the past, this particular one was remarkable in terms of both the amount of money stolen and the manner in which it was carried out. Despite the fact that they were unable to move all of their loot out of the vault due to the size of their haul, the robbers were nevertheless able to empty an amazing 123 out of 189 deposit boxes. The boss of this fashionable group was Leonardo Notarbartolo, who had a career as a thief that spanned 30 years. At the very least, 4 individuals were involved in the heist, which had been planned for years. 3 years prior, they had rented office space in the building, and Leonardo had pretended to be an Italian diamond merchant in order to make himself appear more trustworthy and credible. Without anyone ever suspecting a thing, he carried out a series of little deals and set up meetings. In order to conceal their movements, they slipped bogus tapes into the security cameras when it was eventually time for them to exit the building. 10 different layers of protection were utilized to ensure the safety of the vault. These layers included infrared heat detectors, Doppler radar, a magnetic field, a seismic sensor, and a lock that had 100 million different combinations. The theft was referred to as the heist of the century, and even now, the authorities are unable to provide a detailed explanation of how it was carried out. After one of Notarbartolo's accomplices failed to burn a garbage bag containing evidence, the latter was apprehended and brought to justice. The jewels, which are said to be worth $100 million, have never been located, and Notarbartolo is currently serving a sentence of 10 years. It is interesting to note that Notarbartolo has asserted that a Jewish diamond dealer paid them to participate in the heist, and that in reality, they only stole approximately $20 million worth of diamonds, with many of the deposit boxes already being empty. His belief is that he and his group were used in a massive insurance scam that was perpetrated against them. These allegations have been refuted by the police. Click on this link to read his account of the events, which includes a description of how they managed to pull it off. Number 8. United California Bank Robbery, the 24th of March, 1972. USA. $30 million estimated. Although $30 million might not seem like a lot when compared to the other monsters on this list, it is important to keep in mind that this event took place in 1972. In terms of the current market, it would be worth more than $100 million. The amount was a record for the entire world at the time. In Laguna Niguel, California, a branch of the United California Bank was broken into by a group of 7 men from Ohio, commanded by Emil Dincio, who then proceeded to plunder the safe deposit vault. The only thing that can be done is an estimate because of the nature of safe deposit boxes and the fact that their contents are not disclosed. The FBI was able to identify and catch them in the end. One of the individuals who participated in the robbery, Phil Christopher, has authored a book titled Super Thief, in which he describes the event. It was difficult for me to get a lot of information about this heist because even the FBI website does not offer a description of the robbery or the investigation. If anyone would like to provide more information about this robbery, they are more than welcome to do so in the comments section. Number 7. Schiphol Airport Heist, the 25th of February, 2005. Amsterdam. $118 million estimated. In the annals of diamond theft, this haul is the most extensive ever. The estimate is $118 million due to the fact that many of the stones were not cut, which makes it significantly more difficult to evaluate and trace them. While all of the other thefts on our list entail meticulous planning and faultless execution, this one was more akin to a smash and grab than anything else. A cargo truck belonging to KLM and uniforms belonging to KLM were stolen by 4 individuals 2 weeks previous to the robbery. This was done in order to avoid suspicion until the very last moment, which allowed them to travel freely around the guarded areas of the airport. KLM is a significant airline in the Netherlands. On February 25th, the robbers drove right up to a KLM truck that was transporting a massive haul of uncut diamonds that were supposed to be sent to Antwerp. The drivers were ordered out of the truck at gunpoint, and then they simply climbed into the truck and drove away. This took place in plain face of a large number of witnesses, because they were aware of the specific truck that they were going to target. The authorities are suspecting that it was an inside job. The airport terminal has been breached for the second time in the past 6 months after the first time. After the robbery, several men have been taken into custody in connection with it. Number 6. British Bank of the Middle East, the 20th of January, 1976. Beirut, Lebanon. £25 million. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, a terrorist organization led by Yasser Arafat, rose to prominence in the 1970s with the intention of establishing a homeland for the Palestinian people. They were engaged in a conflict. Moreover, wars are expensive. It is abundant. A group affiliated with the PLO broke into a dozen banks in Lebanon, the largest of which was the British Bank of the Middle East. This occurred during the instability that was caused by the civil war that was taking place in Lebanon at the time. A remarkable £25 million worth of gold, diamonds, stocks, and currencies was stolen by the organization. This amount is equivalent to more than $100 million in today's currency. A wall of the bank that was shared with the Catholic Church next door was blasted by the group while they were there. Over the course of 2 days, they broke into the vault with the assistance of locksmiths from Corsica and stole the contents of the vault. The owners of some of the stocks were eventually able to reclaim their shares. Number 5. Knightsbridge Security Deposit, the 12th of July 1987 UK, £60 million. During the year 1986, Valerio Vice made his way to the United Kingdom from Italy, where he was wanted for more than 50 armed robberies. He made the decision to carry on with his prosperous business in his new country of residence, and he and a companion went to the Knightsbridge Safe Deposit Center in order to make a request to rent a safe deposit box. Following their introduction inside the vault, they were able to subdue both the manager and the guards. To discourage other clients from entering the deposit, Valerio put a sign outside indicating that the establishment was temporarily closed. After that, he proceeded to let in additional accomplices. The gang then proceeded to pick through the safe deposit boxes at will, resulting in the theft of an estimated £60 million, which is equivalent to around $174 million in today's currency. There was plenty of time for the team to depart the scene of the heist because the police were not notified until 1 hour after the robbery had occurred. During the time that his accomplices were being apprehended, Valerio made his escape to Latin America. He then made the unwise decision to return to England at a later period in order to collect his cherished Ferrari, where he was ultimately intercepted. He received a sentence of 22 years in prison. With a sum of money that is roughly equivalent to $174 million, one may assume that you would simply purchase another Ferrari, or even two. As a consequence of a gunfight with Italian law enforcement in the year 2000, he was slain when he was on day release in Italy. Number 4. Baghdad Bank Robbery, the 12th of July 2007, Baghdad, Iraq, $282 million. On a certain morning, employees of the Dar es Salaam Bank arrived at work to discover that the doors had been left unlocked, the vault had been opened, and all of the money had been stolen. During this enormous grab, it is thought that 3 security guards at the bank made off with an astounding amount of money, totaling $282 million. The answer is yes. It is almost $250 million. That's more money than the economy of some of the smaller countries in the world combined. There is no apparent explanation as to why the bank had such a substantial quantity of cash on hand, but it was all in United States dollars. The guards are alleged to have received aid from militias in order to evade discovery at security checkpoints located across Baghdad. This is because to the fact that having a lazy $282 million in the trunk of your car may potentially arouse questions. The perpetrators of this heinous act have not been brought to justice, and none of the recovered funds have been recovered either. Surprisingly, little notice was given to the attempted heist by the media. Number 3. Boston Museum, the 18th of March 1990, Boston, USA, $300 million. The third item on our list is also widely regarded as the most significant theft of art in the history of the world. A pair of individuals who were dressed as law enforcement officers were able to convince two security guards with lacked experience that they were responding to a disturbance at the Gardner Museum. Once they were shackled by the men in the basement, the two guards allowed the officers to enter the premises, which was against the protocol of the museum. The officers quickly realized that they had been tricked into entering the premises. The two men were able to accomplish this feat despite the fact that they did not own any weapons that could be seen. A total of 12 works of art with a combined worth of more than $300 million were chosen by the gentlemen over the course of the subsequent 81 minutes. This took place 20 years ago. 3 works by Rembrandt and 1 by Vermeer were among the artworks that were taken. After that, the two individuals stole the surveillance tapes and left, never to be heard from again. However, in 1994, an offer was made to return the paintings for a sum of $2.6 million and immunity from prosecution. However, the writer was never heard from again. Due to the fact that they did not make any effort to prevent the paintings from being damaged and instead left even more costly pieces behind, the men do not appear to be professionals. The case has never been solved, and there is a reward of $5 million for any information that may reveal the location of the artworks that have been stolen. A further announcement made by the authorities is that they will not pursue legal action against anyone who possesses the paintings and offers to return them. You may read more about the specifics of this fascinating robbery by clicking on this link. Number 2. City Bonds Robbery, the 2nd of May 1990, London, UK. £292 million. A messenger named John Goddard, who was 58 years old and worked for the brokerage firm Shepherd's, was robbed while carrying a briefcase on a quiet side street in London. On the other hand, the contents of the suitcase included bearer bonds for a total of £219.2 million. During this time, Goddard was transporting treasury bills issued by the Bank of England to various banks and building societies. As a result of the characteristics of bearer bonds, the person who is holding them is considered to be the owner. They are just as valuable as money. While his assailant made off with 301 treasury bills, the majority of which were worth at £1 million each, he was kept at knife point against his will. An arrest warrant was issued for Keith Cheeseman in connection with the incident, and he was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. It is believed by the police that Patrick Thomas was the person responsible for the mugging. However, he was discovered dead from a gunshot wound to the head before he could be charged with the crime. After the police and the FBI penetrated the group that was responsible for the crime, all of the bonds were recovered save from 2. Amazingly, the second largest heist in the history of the world was committed by a low-level crook who was only armed with a knife and committed the crime on a back street that was not particularly prominent. Number 1. Central Bank of Iraq, the 18th of March 2003, Baghdad, Iraq, $1 billion. Certain types of robberies call for meticulous planning. Others employ the use of force. The largest in history, on the other hand, was as straightforward as it was successful. It should come as no surprise that Saddam Hussein would consider the Central Bank of Iraq to be his personal bank account, given that he treated Iraq as if it were his own personal domain. It was the day before coalition forces began bombing Iraq that he instructed his son Qusay to make a withdrawal on his behalf and to include a note that was written by hand. During a 5-hour operation, Qusay oversaw the removal of crates that contained $100 bills. The operation resulted in the dictator obtaining around $1 billion in United States currency. The plan did not work out too well for him, as he was discovered sometime later hiding in a hole in the ground when his son was being executed by United States forces. Later on, United States troops discovered approximately $650 million concealed under the walls of one of his palaces. However, The remaining $350 million has never been recovered and is presumed to be lost. And there you have it, the top 10 largest robberies in history, each one a testament to the audacity and ingenuity of those who dared to dream big and break the law in the process. If you enjoyed this dive into the world of crime and intrigue, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more thrilling stories from the Creepshow. Let us know in the comments which heist fascinated you the most and what other mysteries you'd like us to uncover. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.